unpause the recording. And start. And I guess we could either do a new chair. So
have they have,
they have let Patrick Murphy and
they're allowed to stay until
Yes,
we
I let
fill.
them both know, and
Okay.
they were like, we've got a lot of other stuff going on, maybe we'll step down and let
Okay.
other folks jump in. So we do have, there's an application this evening. I think I might have mentioned that in the email of someone who applied, so she'll be interviewed tonight to be on the board. And then there's another woman who is very interested, but I think she's gonna be out the month of April, so she'll be back in May, so she'll probably be interviewed in May, like Janice Steele.
Yeah.
Sealy.
Steely, okay, so she was interested, and I don't see any reason why she wouldn't be
Right.
placed. So we've got two more, which means we still got one more opening after that, so. If you know of anybody, or if there's anybody you can think of, by all means, tell them about it and encourage them to apply.
CC Bartel, she tried. She went
Oh,
to-
yeah, and she's on the BDC right now.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, she's on another.
yeah, she's
she
on the
is.
Business Development
Oh,
Commission.
okay, well, then she probably.
I wasn't sure if any of the people who do like some of the concerts in the summer might be interested. Like, I know Silverman's very busy, but I don't know if his wife or
Yeah, well, it's
people who did the
Borough.
Baroque people.
Yeah, I
I
think
know
you
that's
should
not
offer
their
it.
name, but we could see if they're interested.
Margo, I can call Margo.
Yeah, that
Margo.
might be. Okay. So I don't know if we should approve the minutes first or see if anybody wants to throw their hat in the ring to be the new chair of the Arts
I
Commission.
think we should wait till we get new people
Okay,
before we get a
new chair, okay.
How about someone though, we do, Jenny can't really chair, so how
Yeah.
about an acting chair until an official?
Yeah, there we go. Boom, what's his name?
Writing down, writing down. John
Oh, yeah,
is,
she's acting.
Yeah.
John is acting chair, okay, so
Thank
John,
you for all coming today. Today.
is that your official chair voice? Oh.
Hi, Jan. Hi, Judy.
That's your job to wave at people.
John is gonna serve as acting chair. Katie and Patrick their terms have ended, and so we're gonna get some new members for Arts Commission. When we get all those folks, we'll permanently elect a chair. But until then. There we go. So John, do you want to call for the approval of the minutes?
Sure.
I move we approve. Okay.
Say to be acting.
All in favor?
It's gonna be a collective chair group.
I think I can
I
sit
can follow
tight, just
that.
get rolling faster.
Okay.
The chief should never leave the Indians in charge.
And Poetry Month is next. So John, that's a good one probably for you to jump in and.
No, well, everything is set up. Beth has gotten her part done with the library, and we've got the other, so we have 4 events. They're all featured on the poster. I delivered about 15 of those yesterday, and I know that's gonna have some in.
Yeah, you
And I'm gonna
didn't give
take
it into
some-
the library, did you? Yeah,
No, I
Okay.
left that to you.
I was gonna do that right after.
Okay, and this stack, whatever.
Yeah,
Feel free
great.
to
Are
take.
are you going there? I was gonna go vote there, so I can drop them off.
Oh.
You're gonna make a trip.
Well, I was probably going to go vote there too,
Okay,
so
there you
either
go.
way, but yeah, it's
So I have checks
No,
for Ben Goss, Susan Grigsby, and Raven Wolf Seafeltons Jennings II. Love that name.
wow.
Love that
but
fancy.
you can call him Joe.
Right.
I'll take his, and I know you.
Yeah, I can
the other
take it.
two.
We'll take his and then you'll take the other two.
Yes.
There we go. Perfect. So it's 60 each. That's all made out,
Yeah.
but yeah, so cool.
Did you, we need to submit these to the Webster Kirkwood Times, all these months. I went ahead and submitted the one for Saturday because I was nervous that like,
Perfect.
hopefully it gets in this week's print edition, and I sent the library the PDF of the poster.
Okay.
But I don't know about if I should go ahead and submit all the others.
How-
I just have a free account. I don't know if the city has like, it seemed like when I went out to submit, it's a different system.
Like
You
the
noticed that?
calendar
Yeah,
thing, yeah.
yeah. And it's like, there was like paid options that like, I just.
Yeah, we just do the free
Okay.
ones, and we put them on there.
Okay.
So, and I can send it to Jamie in case she wants to do,
Yeah, that'd be
collaborate with
great.
them or anything like that. So,
I would encourage anyone who is free on Saturday. So I'm a little worried about that event just because it's kind of
okay,
the haiku event with Benga on Saturday afternoon, just because it's kind of the first one and I don't know how much like. I'll post it a couple places like on Facebook. I try to.
yeah,
recruit.
and I'll do a event, like a Facebook event for City of Webster
Fantastic,
for it,
yeah.
because John did a great graphic at the top, like,
Yeah.
and I'll do events for each of them. So
Okay,
each of them will
that'd
have
be
its own
helpful.
standalone
Yeah.
event, because I like those, because people can be like, I'm coming, and
Yes.
then it reminds you.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. That'd be great. And I'll share that out as soon as I see it.
Yes, and then he's made individual graphics for each event.
Mhm.
So I'll put that up maybe on Thursday. I'll time it to go out on Thursday morning, so if you just wanna keep an eye out for that, that'll appear.
So last year, we did like, and made sure that a arts commission member was at each of the events, just kind of like either introduce the person, or I assume you're gonna do singer songwriter.
I would do that and the one that I.
I'll plan on being at Saturday's event for sure,
I'll try
and
to
then
make
the children's poetry workshop, my daughter did that last year and liked it, and so
Okay.
we'll bring her and then. But yeah,
Okay, cool. And I'm gonna try and make some of them just actually. Yeah, okay. Cool, so it sounds like we're all set for poetry month. So lifetime achievement, in the arts, I think that's still kind of a work in progress.
I really like the idea of Tom Cooper since he's retiring.
Yeah. Is he local? Like, does he live in Webster Groves or does he
I
live?
think he lives in Acton.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say I think it's a little farther than that, but
Is it?
maybe,
Could be.
but it's not Webster. I
Right,
know
okay.
that, yeah.
I'd like to be a little bit of descending, not anything against Tom, but I mean. What else? I mean, what's the criteria that is a lifetime achievement in the arts?
It used to be you had to be a Websterite, that you lived in Webster, but I don't know why it
Well, I
can't be.
think you could work in Worcester, but I don't know that he,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
managed the library, but he.
Is anyone familiar with Bill Barrett? Did anyone know him very well? I know he was very big at Webster U. He was in charge of the May Gallery there, their
Oh.
photography gallery. He died of stomach cancer the other year, but he had kind of built up the photography program there and the May Gallery there, which was.
Well, for that matter, Tom Lane, who was an apartment.
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah.
And he was also, he lives in Webster.
Yeah, yeah, Bill lived in, so.
They both did, yeah, I think.
Somebody online
Oops.
run into.
Yeah, okay, this is way out probably, but Dan Stevens passed away and he still presented some things over at at whatever we call it, the building, the Ozark. Could we do something for a post, after his death? What is that called?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about, it's just a thought.
I like
That's a
that.
good, that's something to consider, I think, he was a lifelong musician and.
Right, he was here, and he did quite a few community things for the seniors and everything and kept bringing them, even when he was not feeling as well since COVID. But he always did that and had, opened it up for those kinds of things. And I thought, well, maybe that's something that would be nice to do. I don't know. Just a thought.
I like that idea.
I like that too. Here's what I'm thinking, with Poetry Month being this month, I'm wondering for the May meeting, do you think that we should just, if everybody who has an idea, come up with like a little paragraph about it, and then in the May meeting, we can kind of decide. Have all of our nominees out and decide. Because I kind of like the idea of doing one, like if we did one posthumous and one, like if we did two and one,
That's a good
That's-
idea.
yeah.
And then, they also, let's see, he did live in Webster. I think Dan did, right? Does anybody know?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
For a long time, yeah, so I just thought it would be maybe a good thing to do, and
Could have both Bob Cassidy and Dan at the same time, since they're both deceased.
Why two? Though?
Oh.
I mean, we never had to, and we've also, and we've given it to people that were deceased.
Okay.
I just don't know, I mean,
We got Arthur Hosser.
right.
Right,
I'm saying
our
The very
very
first one.
right, was actually one living and one dead because Ernestine was there.
Yes,
Yeah.
Did we give one to Ernestine?
yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Okay,
There's your baby.
okay.
But, you know, we were willing to consider Jonathan Franzen. I mean, we had not always stipulated the requirement that they live in Webster, but just have a tie to Webster and a significant contribution to the arts.
Who's the MTV guy that lives here now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just moved in, yeah.
Alan Tucker.
My son told me all about it. Well, do you want to come back at the next meeting and everybody have somebody, and then we'd actually do a vote?
Yeah, that sounds good. Like if in May we come in and we've got all of the, here's who I like, here's why I like them.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Because I know in the case of Jonathan Franzen, he didn't even answer us, did he? Jonathan?
Oh, no, he didn't. But I think,
Yeah.
what about Gentry Trotter? He lived in Webster.
oh, he did, how funny.
Yeah.
For
I
how
only see
long?
him on Twitter. He's Twitter famous to me. I don't know him outside of Twitter.
So was a performer?
A former
I mean, is a
Websterite.
performer, performance,
Mhm.
well, pretty well.
Well, that'd be different.
What was his background?
He's a performer. He
Okay.
was on television all the time.
Okay.
I'm not sure which, probably Channel 5.
Okay,
I don't know what he's doing now.
I just see him on Twitter.
I haven't heard.
Okay.
I think he's in jail, but I don't think. Sorry, Judge.
All right. Okay, so we'll tackle that in May. For the budget, I confess, I have not gotten any further in getting more bids on banners, so.
That just sounded like a confession.
Yeah, I've got my budget meeting next week, I think, so I work well under a really hard deadline of fear and anxiety, so I should be able to get things done.
But you know, the scope and scale.
Yeah.
which they call the range.
The range, yeah, if I go on the higher end and we come in under, then we look even better to everyone, so.
Well, it's a good segue into this one,
So the banners. So,
because I think we could sell them. I don't think you, I mean,
Yeah,
I think the,
exactly.
I think the budget is. Yeah,
let me see here what I've got. I'm gonna share my screen for those at home. And work, okay. So Alex has put this together and this is a sponsorship request form for the banners. And there's a mock-up there, but we've also got another mock-up that John has done. But yeah, that's kind of what it could look like, and this is what could go out to the different organizations. I have someone right now doing an exact count of the City of the Arts banners because I keep getting, I think we've got about 12, got about 20. And so somebody's like, I'll go out and I'll count for sure. So
He's more than 12.
yeah. So once we find that out, and so this is something that we could reach out to those organizations and
looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get a better, so one of the things I said to Jenny here is that we could get a better image, focus less on maybe the church and more on the banner or something like that, but it's just a template where you're saying what you're trying to do, maybe you refine that language a little bit. What's the specs of the banner? Do you recall the specs of the banner? Okay.
yeah, I don't have the exact.
I didn't
ones,
have
but-
the exact spec, I couldn't recall, but the exact specs of the banners, but, and then to the right is you know, that's a bare bones version there. You're saying Webster Groves, the motto, city of the arts, you're acquiring a image that you can use from the organization that the organization will give you. You would have the organizational logo. I think you might even put the organizational website below that logo. I didn't do that, but that might make sense too.
One thing that hits me now when I see this, this is something anybody could wear up at any time. Doesn't, like usually we think the banners, okay, let's go forward and make the banners, but
Yeah.
If somebody was having any special event, they could say we'd like
I think it could be
4 of
both.
them along,
It could be both evergreen or event specific. I even mentioned in here that you could, events or happenings or have you. They could be based upon, I mean, technically you could sell them based upon the desirability of the particular street or the visibility of the
Yeah.
particular street. I think $1,000 is actually pretty reasonable, giving not only your printing, but the labor. You probably get to that cost pretty quick. Some of the organizations, those smaller, might go, oh, $1,000. So
Yeah.
maybe there's some type of.
I think it
threshold.
depends on how much it takes to make a banner
Yeah,
and then multiply that by so much.
and this would be if you could put up, I'm sorry, if you could put up 5 of them in front of your place, they're gonna be a lot more expensive to have somebody go out there and,
Well, yeah, and that, and
Just
then,
print
and not
five.
printing in bulk, you're printing specific
Yeah.
organizations, so that's gonna up the cost.
But don't just, Jenny's time,
Yeah.
administrative
Yeah.
costs,
Yeah,
public
thank
works
you.
costs, there's.
There's a
I
lot.
think you're lead, yeah.
Put that cushion in there. I
and I
mean,
think we won't be able to promise them a specific location, like that's what I.
Yeah.
Do know of, just because I know that there's some rules, like the old Webster taxing district has paid
Gotcha.
for some banners and some other thing, where I would hate for somebody to be like, I want them to be on Edgar Road right outside of the Loretta Hilton, when it's like, well, Webster, you has those, and we don't have control over those, so.
But they could go forward with a map of where they
Yeah.
are available.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can have this corridor, that corridor.
maybe there could be a line that said, I think we've used this language before, where it says, request,
Yeah.
location requests, but then a little asterisk that says locations are not guaranteed.
Location request can be made, we will try. and-
But it would be good for them to know.
Yeah,
A map, I mean, that,
Yeah.
Right,
because of how you, yeah.
yeah,
well, I do think that
if
there
you
would be an
keep getting
expectation
denied.
that they will get
Mhm.
close to their organization. That would be like that would be what I would expect, so we need to be very clear that like you may have a banner that is not.
yeah, like
a
if
significant
if
distance
Jazz
away.
Fest requests a banner. It's not gonna be down by Novel Neighbor, like hopefully it'll be.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be some sort of sense
Somewhere
making
in
of-
Old Webster.
Yeah.
Well, I do think there's certainly the possibility of discussing with the business districts.
Mhm.
If there are things like Jazz Fest, it's to their benefit to put the
Yeah.
banner there, so.
Yeah,
And as long as, they're not paying for the new banner, paying for it to be replaced for the 2 months that it's there, I'm not sure why they would
Yeah.
care.
Do we know that the city is like willing to do this like on a 2-month basis? I remember when I used to do this at the museum, it would be like, it was a lot to get the actual
yeah,
city to go up and put it, we were always waiting, like, are the banners gonna go up? And so it is a significant, I remember it was significant labor to do that, and so I don't know in terms of like, is the city gonna be like 2 months? Like, no,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
better sit for a year, or we're not,
we do those giant street banners
Yeah.
for event. I'll talk with Public Works and find out if this is something that they,
I
cause if
mean,
not, I mean,
I hate to say it, but also if you charge enough,
yeah,
you
Yeah, if the money is.
you can, yeah,
Do anything.
well,
mean-
almost anything.
yeah, the theoretical overage of whatever the cost of
Yeah.
printing could all go back and funnel into the banner program or whatever you
and it's,
call
you
it.
know, I mean, I think,
Because the city's gonna want banners on their own,
yeah.
and that, whatever builds up could pay for that.
Yeah, and I think it's, I mean, and it's also one of those, things, like Jazz Fest, I'm thinking of, because it's essentially one weekend, but I think it's like the Webster Arts, it's one weekend, but I think they're pretty well-known events, and so if they were up for like.
For longer, people
Yeah.
would know that was just representative of the kind of events
The
we
kind of
offer,
events
not
and
that it was
organizations,
coming
yeah.
up or.
Yeah.
I mean, how long have these current banners, but at least like 5 years or
But-
more. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you'd also have to dictate the lifetime of the banner or
Yeah.
the cost, so.
And that's what I'm thinking, like, I think we could promise 5 years.
I was about to say, is 5 years
Think
too
five- yeah.
much?
Five-
Oh, I'm thinking,
I think it's.
I think you would reckon, you could guarantee a period of time.
I guarantee 2 years.
I mean, if it's a
Yeah.
traffic,
Like a billboard, yeah.
you know,
And then we would.
they're gonna take it over until.
And if I have to have it
It's
entirely
so
like
old,
do
and
this
they'll
that
put a-
way advertising, and then it'd be like, you're paying for 1 month, but like,
Yeah.
they didn't change
Well,
it
they
that way. So you're right, you got 6 months.
Well, it's
You paid
just,
for
it's the wear and tear. of
We
the
could say
banner.
paying for
Yeah.
2, the ones that
People
are.
held up really well, but I know from past experience, there are ones that have ripped and they, you know, and then if they start looking bad, then it's like, you can't, you know,
Right.
you gotta, yeah.
But it's like,
We have-
they have lasted 5 years, you know, they'll.
I
They
know, I
just
think it's
fade
gonna be
a
a little
lot.
bit different with the photography though
Yeah.
versus just graphics, because graphics can fade and it doesn't look that bad, because you don't know what the original color is, but when photography fades, it looks a lot worse.
I think a 2-year
Well,
lifespan is easy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
if
it's like,
somebody-
looks ghostly, it's not good.
But,
Do you sepia photography?
Recommends.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think 2 years is good, and then, I mean, and even that, like, if we get a whole season of nights like Friday night weather, then it might not last 2 years with the
Yeah.
wind and that. But, hopefully, you never know, when you're flooding into your tornadoes.
I think the other aspect of this little flyer sheet would be, building an Excel that says who knows or is a part of these various different organizations
Yes.
within the art commission. And then making sure that it gets in the hands of the correct person, the marketing person of the organization or the executive director. So they can, you'll get these things sold a lot faster. if it's
Yeah,
Done through the networks around this table.
yeah, I can,
you know,
I'm trying to think, and it's always so hard with the sunshine requests and all that, and I know that other groups have wanted to do Excels, and it's hard to share things from Outlook and have people participate, but I know I can easily do Google and have a group, a Google.
Cause it's like it's like a records request.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm not worried about this because this
Yeah.
isn't a policy development
Okay.
question. This is
Okay.
simply a.
so I'll set up a
Collecting data.
Google Excel document, and I'll just brainstorm in my own head. Here's the arts organizations I can think of, and I'll share the link with everybody. And if you could think of more or individuals or anything like that, then by all means, let's add them.
We already have that list on the
Yeah,
website.
yeah.
So you just work off of that list. and
That, and who knows who.
assign names to each one. I mean, even if we were to get 10 of these at $1,000 theoretically a pop.
Yeah,
$10,000 right there to pay for the program. I think the larger organizations, $1,000 for a banner, seems pretty reasonable to me, but I could be way off base.
no,
it's just a different opportunity,
Yeah.
nobody's had, so you kind of. But you'll know if if the big organizations go, holy cow, then
yeah,
you can adjust it, but maybe that's the case, get it all set up and then get some meetings with those higher ones, giving them the first shot at it,
Yeah.
This isn't open to everybody yet. And another thing that popped in, and be kind of a, maybe I'm too much of a, or actually salesperson, but you could just strip in here, a banner that just says your message here.
That's what I was gonna say, I could put the mock-up, I mean, obviously, I don't wanna call out a particular organization, but you could put the mock-up right
I'm,
within there.
I'm thinking just like when you go down a billboard.
Yeah.
It says your message.
Yeah.
Here, and that's the thing to think about is your message in this, what's some of the demographics in Webster Groves, the amount of money that. The number of people and what their
Yeah.
income level is.
to an organization
You
like the rep or the opera theater, I think it would be, because it's like, they don't have to worry about, they don't have to. Get bids for the banners, they don't have to sign, you know what I mean, like, it's all the work, but $1,000 is nothing,
Well, you wanna make it turnkey
Yeah.
too, where it's like they give you an image, they give you a logo.
Yeah.
and
you're good to go.
That's what's not gonna happen.
You could have this part bigger because that's the important
Yeah.
part.
Mhm.
And that way you can put in that this is your
Yeah.
image.
And the smaller groups like the Theater Guild, the Webster Groves, and maybe even like. Yeah, some of those,
They could get sponsors to
Yeah.
do that for them. they could have a fundraising thing. We want to have 7 of these for next season at the Theater Guild.
Yeah.
You want to, we need $7,000. Let's have a,
So one of the questions that I would have is how many banners do you get for your 1,000, right? So if you have like 3 organizations that say yes right away, but you're waiting on others, like I think there needs to be like a deadline to commit, because otherwise you're not going to have like an idea of how many banners everyone gets. And so,
Well, and we could
It's always better
do,
to
we
do
could
that.
do,
yeah.
I don't know, we could be like $500 gets you 1 banner, 1,000 gets you 3, something like that.
Yeah, like having some sort of idea of like how many spaces are available.
That makes the
and then
most sense.
An estimate of what they would get, like how many they would get for their,
Deadline end of the summer, August. Does this make sense in terms of the logistics of not only the budget, but also the printing, but also
having
the
a season.
solicitation?
the 23 banner season, 2023 banner season is now through.
Okay,
But then again, if they're gonna last 5 years,
like, yeah, like the beginning of
but
it.
that's up to us not to have them last 5 years, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't want them 5 years if we could.
Well, but then there could be that they want to advertise a certain play and the play only, or opera. And the opera only
I
lasts.
think these should be evergreen though.
Yeah,
I
I
think
just-
that's the thing that only makes the most sense. Like they should choose an image. I mean, because they're not gonna be able to add additional
Okay.
language about what play, so it's just their
So it's
logo.
just- Yeah,
representative
yeah, and
image.
they do that a lot
Yeah.
for their catalogs, their magazines, their advertisements. They have favorite images already.
Yeah,
I think that that's stage 1 is the evergreen, and then you can tackle the events and stuff by special request. I also, just in our conversation, I think to sell them quicker and faster, I think you do put limited opportunity or space, because it shows a demand. You put that deadline in there as
There's
well.
only so many. banners.
There's only so many
Yeah.
banners, and this is actually a really good, and it is a really good opportunity for someone to do.
And again, I just wonder if somebody has some of those demographics, how many cars go up Lockwood that could easily be.
Yeah, there's prime spaces in Webster for sure.
Yes, and that's where these are. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't, there's not on my.
yeah, they're all kind of in the, anything that is the big street lights,
There's your no vote sign in
You
front.
could ask them for $1,000.
a yard sign.
I'm gonna make the deadline August 30th, so that gives this kind of group internally time to work within the banner season. Then you start January 1st, 2024, and then you go to the lifetime of the
That'd be good,
banner.
because it'd be after the holiday
Which
shopping
is fiscal
season.
year, October?
Fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th.
Does that matter as it pertains
It's, I
to?
don't think it matters as far as long as all of the donations come and the work gets done within 1 fiscal year, I think
Yeah,
it's fine.
Plus, that's a good time in terms of our staffing situation to get them up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Barring any kind of. Giant
Inclement
winter
weather.
snowstorm.
I mean, those are theoretical windows, but I feel like if I could refine this a little bit based on our conversation,
Mhm.
lists,
Yeah.
distribution, asks, it gives like a nice period.
I think so, okay.
Oh, and the name on here, I don't know, I put my contact on here, but I do not need to be if it makes
You
sense.
already volunteered.
Okay, that's, I just didn't want to make a.
So-
assumption.
Somebody else.
That, that any of the communications
The
would.
bylaws do not.
Yeah,
or
Jenny, do
question.
you think it has to come to you?
I don't know, I mean, it might, having the Webster Grows email on there might add a little bit of, if somebody's nervous about sending a $1,000 check to a guy with a flyer and Gmail account. Not to diminish who you are in the community.
Yeah, it's legitimacy.
Yeah,
Um,
so I'm fine with that if you wanna add me.
But this might have to go through, 1 or 2 other times to really, to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it could, yeah. I love this image though.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, you have a better one. You have the thing that he had done.
Yeah.
One thing, the
Yes.
whole thing, how we put together, just make it simple, it has Webster Grows,
Yeah,
you're advertising Webster Grows and you're advertising.
that's right. Well, and this is John talking too, in terms of like city of the arts being the motto, so you wanna.
That's when we had went through
creative.
creative, I
Yeah.
mean, that's even earlier than, but.
I definitely think there's some things, like, I like the third and the fourth one, like, where instead of creative community, if it said like city of the arts. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
The chair, yeah, that was
Yeah.
their opera theater. thing.
It should be
When,
okay.
when was that?
No, I guess
That's
it
the
was somewhere around
2013.
2013. I would say 2013 or maybe 2012.
Oh, I see.
We definitely got
It was
a
not a
theater
country
thing going on with this group is the mock-up, just.
I mean, remember, these are going on time, I mean,
Yeah.
in all
You can't-
scope of
yeah.
things, you want it to be pretty, I think, pretty simple in terms of the
Yeah.
color scheme.
Yeah.
You have to, because you want it to be visible with people driving by and walking, so
Mhm.
like the logo should be as big as, like.
Yeah.
This might be pump that up a little bit, like depending upon, because if there's small writing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, if we're
Maybe.
going on that, I think the Webster could go down a little bit too,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be so commanding.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
But that's-
people recognize that, so they're
Yeah.
automatically gonna read it as Webster Groves.
I would give them this entire space. You know, and let them figure that out. And the other thing is the Arts Commission. We could, you know, because we're only gonna go to arts groups, right? We're not gonna go to Anderson Renewal Windows.
What's up?
I mean, I'm just saying, the bigger you get, the easier these things
Yeah.
to sell.
I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
big
The Arts
organizations.
Commission
Nobody sells it.
presents,
What was that?
the Arts Commission presents.
Yeah.
Please don't make my life difficult that way.
But anyway, you know, there could be something there that.
Now, you
Glad
give
to
them the-
review their, you know, that if they need help, a small group.
Yeah.
You give them the entire bottom half now, let me play as devil's advocate on that with the template. Is that you don't make it standardized, and it's like, give me the image, give me your logo, and we just plop it in. Now. you're
Well, yeah,
paying for design.
you fill this with your logo and the stuff you want, you know, and
Yeah.
barring it being, you know, something against our.
Well, that's
Community
a workable
standards.
thing. I mean, you could be like, no, we like our stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's
But
just a question of if we want to.
they do have very
Or
good
not.
graphic
I do
design.
like the
people,
idea of
though.
having it a standardization, like your
Yeah.
picture is this big, your logo is this big, just to keep. kind
But,
of-
yeah, at the same time, the Opera Theater has incredible
Yeah.
graphic design people.
Right.
That could think of something better,
Yeah.
but it's good to already
They
have
can do
something.
their own band.
But
Like-
but the majority will not, I would,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
argue is that.
No, you're right.
It's gonna be the big bold one that has all the resources, but
I'm,
the majority is.
I keep thinking of like, I know, like, what could they feasibly get? And I know even Jazz Fest they've got professional photos and a logo. Even Webster Groves Theater Guild has professional photos and a logo.
Well,
So I
also
think
because it's so
everybody-
easy, they
Yeah.
have everything else on their plate, they're like, oh, we don't have to worry, this is not a
Yeah.
design question, this is just
That's
like
why
a
they're paying
template.
money, like,
We're paying our money,
send us
we're
your
done.
photo, send us your logo.
We just have to have a template and they fill in.
And Judy's there.
That's all. I
Judy.
say.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to vote for uniformity too. I think that that is a series. It represents this richness. And the other thing is, I think maybe I couldn't quite hear, but I think Beth was speaking to this. This would become at the museum another task for our design department, and it would have to be done in time. And we don't want that. We don't want them to take it. Just use what they have. They have fine logos. I think that make it simple, make it
I
simple.
feel like that's why they pay the 1,000, so that we do, and they don't have to think about it. Because if they have to start thinking about it and designing it, they might as well just get their own banner.
Mhm.
I'm just. Again, this would be my latest thing, but on it, you're saying their logo has to fit in a certain area. In your picture, you're giving them
Spec.
more specifications, instead of saying,
Hmm.
you've got 18 by 24. You know, if you want to just have your big logo emblazoned on there as part of the City of the Arts, for instance, that's fine. You know, but that's just, that's how I would see it. That's
Well,
okay.
since, that's why I say if we had a template, they can put whatever they want.
In
in
this
the
area,
space.
right, that's what I'm saying, well, anyway. We can figure that out later. But it just seems to me that if you give them two areas, it's a little bit harder to fit it, you know, or our logo is this. how do we fit it in there? Whereas if you give the whole space and then it's their
And
problem.
I'm worried about, because we've all dealt with this, where like people submit stuff and it's like, oh God, okay, give me a bigger resolution image. And you, that's actually the bad.
Well, we have to put all that in there because these are big images.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
Anyway,
okay,
good first draft. Let me
Yeah.
come back
yeah.
with
sounds
another.
good. Sounds good. Next up, we got Ozark Theater.
Yes, I have corresponded with Margaret Stevens. It is very clear to me that she's not ready to talk about this. In fact, I don't believe she's in town. She is expecting a grandchild late this summer and suggested she'd be out of town for quite a while around that time. So I put on my calendar to go back to her later this summer, probably middle of the summer, just to check in and see where she is. But I don't expect anything imminent from our correspondence. Related to that, you may have heard that Ed Golterman has taken this cause up as something he wants to work with. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Mr. Golterman. He's come to a couple of our council meetings. He was championed the redevelopment of Kiel, right? Am I right? Whatever.
I think that's right.
What is it called
In
now?
the theater,
Excuse me?
he said anything that's in the theater.
Yeah. So he has written to the Post-Dispatch and has suggested that he's got a plan. I've spoken to him a couple of times. I don't know that this is really as far along as he's presenting it to be, simply because of my interaction with Mrs. Stevens. She doesn't seem to have any, so he seems to contact me regularly about this, so I will keep you all informed if there's anything. His view is it would be a independently owned arts center, not city owned, and you'd use historic tax credits to redo the building. Again, that's as much as I know. I do think there's a little bit of a presentation of a plan that seems farther along than it actually is.
I don't think we have to worry about it. He talks a lot, but it never finishes.
No.
But so
I know that.
yeah, and so I think if anyone else knows Margaret and, wants to check in sometime this summer, that's probably a good idea, but I definitely will do that come midsummer.
Well, somebody did say that law firm, they wanted to get a hold of that and knock it down and make it parking lot. So, sometimes these things move, all of a sudden they move real quick.
Yeah,
And you're looking at a hole in the ground and
right.
pavers coming in.
And so I did ask her to keep me, informed if she was making any decisions. But I will send that message.
Is there a way, I don't know if historic preservation has done anything with the building, but we should at least designate it so it isn't knocked down.
So
Yeah.
it's not quite that simple.
Okay.
It is not part, as I understand it, it does not have any historic designation right now. Because it is not even part of the Old Webster Historic District. We can designate it, that doesn't mean it can't be knocked down. It does make it a little more
Yeah.
difficult. So I think if this commission wants to make a request to the Historic Preservation Commission to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah,
That's the process. That's a great idea.
okay.
Great.
And here's the thing, though, it's very difficult to do that without Margaret's cooperation as the owner of the building. So, let's just keep that in mind as we go along.
If part of that, we could go for the historic district to make that proposal and then go to her.
Name the building after her.
Well, that's.
The Ozark.
Dan
Yeah,
Stevens.
how
Arts
about
Center.
this? I don't know who's chair of HBC right now, do you know?
Is it Mara?
Well, she's the staff liaison, yes,
Yes,
but
yes.
I don't know who the chair is. And let me do a little bit of work of figuring out what process would look like to make that request. And then, you know, you all can, I think, just send an email request to say,
Okay.
or if somebody's willing to go to the HPC meeting, that's probably the best option.
Mhm.
So let me, I'll get some more information about the meeting and the process and share it with you all.
I'd be glad to go.
Okay, and John,
Everybody else
okay,
wants
and
to
so
join.
we'll also,
I go.
To the
I
meeting,
go.
to the historical. Yeah, well,
yeah.
Anybody else?
It'll be, it's within the next couple of weeks, so
Yeah.
we'll get this done sooner rather than later.
This-
Laura? okay.
Yes,
Is there I mean, ideally to have a private company running this as an arts center, but to not lose sight of what is best for the city because there's so many kinds of spaces that we'd love to have. Is there precedent for something that could be a kind of private public collaboration for that kind of?
I don't think so in our city, but
Mm.
certainly there is other precedent, and
other-
just because, yeah, just because we haven't done it before doesn't mean it's impossible. And I think, you know, both from a staff and certainly my perspective, the really hard part is thinking about the long-term staffing and maintenance as
Mm.
opposed to just the acquisition and remodeling.
Right.
Because, you know, maybe I said this before, we're talking about a lot of people want an indoor pool to go with our outdoor pool. The problem isn't building it. The problem is what kind of subsidy you have to maintain that over time. And this is the same kind of dilemma in my mind, which, you know, does make the public-private partnership more attractive, I think.
I've just checked Emily Hickson Shepherd is the chair, is the liaison to HPC.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know the Volterman, did you say that?
yeah, Ed Goldman.
Yeah, I don't know him at all, but I think anyone who has interest in preserving the building and moving forward with making it an art space is, you know, not to look that in the, you know, good
Yeah.
horse in the mouth,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's better than knocking it down and having a parking lot.
Yeah.
That's my feeling, if
Especially somebody
anybody
with
who
a
put their own money.
passion.
Yeah, it has their own, thinks they have the resources and capability and passion to do it.
How do we kind of make it publicly known that we're looking for?
Well, I think that one gentleman was interested, right? Like he's.
Yeah, he's
galvanizing
already,
some
he's
folks,
already, yeah, talking about it. And Post Dispatch printed a letter he wrote about. his
What's his name?
plans. Ed Goldman.
Wasn't he and Dan Stevens were close friend?
so I know that name.
I think they were friends. I don't know I don't know what that relationship was. They certainly were familiar.
I know they're open to fun.
No, he, his father was involved with the symphony a long time ago. And so the family's always been involved in cultural things in the city. And he's just the person that always has to say something, and he's usually against everything.
That didn't sound good.
He ran for county executive, that's fine.
Oh my Lord.
He's someone you don't want on one of your committees.
Please note that this is a public meeting being recorded. Just in case.
No.
Okay,
So that's settled in.
I think
Yeah.
that is.
Oh, I'm gonna pass these out. I've got a show opening.
Where is it?
In Crampika.
That's beautiful.
Where is it, Marilyn?
Grafika?
Crampika.
Oh, Grafton.
Um,
Okay.
It's also my birthday,
Nice.
so it's a way of celebrating.
Lynn's promising lots of wine, so.
Remember, this is a public meeting.
That's a private event. So.
And Judy, this is not, I saw a woman I used to work with is gonna be the creative director of the art museum. Kristen DeFate.
Yes, she just started last week. Yeah,
She's awesome. Yeah, she used to work with me at Webster Youth. That's very cool.
great, great. Yeah, we're delighted to have her, so.
I do have a couple of announcements, if you all don't mind. The city has opened again this year, something called Balancing Act, which is an online tool for residents to tell us how they want us to spend your tax dollars.
Mhm.
It's a little unique in that you don't just get to click, this is good and this is bad. You actually have an amount of money to spend and you have to allocate it. We've simplified it tremendously this year, so please go to the website and participate in that. Also, there's a public hearing in 2 weeks before the city council about the placement of solar panels in historic districts. And so some of you may want to take a look at that and perhaps submit some testimony. And it is not on the agenda of this meeting, but I am happy to talk to anyone about fire department and funding and safety and anything related to fire. Or if we can do that after the meeting if you'd like, or you can give me a call. And I think that we talked about NOMO before, so I don't need to even talk about NOMO April. So, all right.
I just have one thing to bring up, the new, that is not arts thing, but this bagel union. So that parking situation up there is gonna be really, something's gonna happen. Because people come out of that parking lot right on to Elm. And it's not, so I just had a wondering, when you put in an establishment, there's supposed to be, you have to handle so many cars,
Correct.
right? So I didn't.
You have
know
to, the rules talk about how many parking spaces you have. That was an existing conduit from when Porter Paints was
Right.
there, people coming and going, and given the number of spaces, I think. It was allowed. One of the things that we do know is happening though in FY 24 or 25, I'm not sure which, is the county is gonna reconfigure that intersection. Looking at pedestrian safety and bicycle safety. And so that will be, I think, part of when they reconfigure the entire intersection, what that looks like. But the way it's set up now, it's been a business and the business has used that as the coming in and out before. So I, you know, there wasn't any real discussion of closing off that parking lot.
I've just noticed that it's it's also a time for people get to go in the morning. When everybody's at work.
Yeah,
But a
yeah.
guy came out the other day and he pulled out of that drive across the 3 of Elm going south to go north. So he's
Yeah.
coming out of there making a left
Yeah.
turn.
They just had a
And that is crazy. I
Go
mean,
off on Big Ben.
he was a
Yeah.
truck, and
So you'll forgive me for saying, we can't legislate against stupid. But I understand the general problem. That's an extreme example, but you're right, there is yeah,
no left turn.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe just a big sign, no left turn.
Yeah.
Coming out of there, because it's bad enough when they come out to make a right or to go straight, because they just zoom, they see a hole.
Yeah.
Like I would do, Boom, and they go, but boy, when that guy come, I didn't know idea he was coming that way. I saw him sitting there and I thought, well, I'll just see where he's going, and all of a sudden. He was
Turn it
beating the traffic,
The
yeah.
whole area right there, somebody requested a no-mo sign like right next to Big Union. And I drove around the block like 4 times, like trying to figure out, like, I don't know how to stop my car. It actually stayed yellow. Like, I don't know how to do this. Really went, I was like, I'm
On a
going to the
loop,
gym.
Just throw
And when
the
I
sign
leave
out
the gym and it's like 8 o'clock, then I'll do it. So I'm a weirdo in my gym clothes at like 8 PM, sticking a no-mo sign in somebody's lawn because there's finally no traffic on Elm.
I will send a note about the no left turn sign though.
I just was a
Yeah.
thought, I
Yeah.
thought, because I know people in business, that's a great business. I mean, there's no two
Yeah.
ways about that. But maybe they could.
Hopefully they'll get a little less friendly.
Yeah.
The novelty will wear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking. Because I haven't had one yet.
Oh, yeah. It's timely for like lunch,
Good.
like if you go at like
It is, I-
11:30 noon to get like a bagel sandwich, there's nobody there. Yeah, I think it's nice, that's a good time to go. But yeah.
John, can you tell him a fan?
It's the way that they-
That's what reminded me of it.
Yeah.
All right.
So I wanna know, did you get this notebook with a sticker already or? did you attach the
I
sticker?
attached the
There you
sticker.
go, okay.
All right, then I
And
guess.
that's all about bagels in there and your.
It's just like my,
His
it's like,
review is a
how do
betrayal
we
on
do
his
this?
side.
How do we do these bagels better?
You go in, you
Sound
give them
it
your advice.
$1,000 bagel.
That's
All
it.
right, then shall we adjourn at 9:22?
Now
All
you get
right,
it.
bye, Jan, Judy.
Bye.
Bye.